We are less than 3 weeks away from Donald Trump beginning his second term in the White House, but the ongoing trade war between the United States and China has already taken a perilous turn, one that could potentially destabilize the entire global economy. The relationship between these two nations does not just have implications for the US and China alone, but for every country around the world. The global supply chain, trade agreements, military dynamics, and technological advancements are all deeply intertwined with how the US and China navigate their growing tensions. While many Western observers may assume that China is in a vulnerable position, they are overlooking one critical fact: China holds a number of advantages, some of which are hidden, that could dramatically shift the balance of power in its favor if things continue to escalate. President Trump has long been a vocal critic of China, and as he enters his second term, he has made bold statements about the future of the US-China relationship. One of his most aggressive stances includes imposing tariffs on Chinese goods, with claims that these could reach as high as 100%. While this sounds like a strong move, there are several underlying complexities that should not be ignored. For one, while Trump himself is vocal about his desire to curb China's rise, many Republican senators such as Marco Rubio, Josh Hawley, and Tom Cotton have pushed for even harsher actions, including calls for expelling China from the World Trade Organization, WTO. On the other hand, the US itself faces a number of conflicts of interest that could complicate this strategy. For instance, one of Trump's close allies is Elon Musk, the CEO of Tesla, who has long-standing, deeply embedded business relationships with China. Tesla's Shanghai Gigafactory produces more than half of all Teslas sold worldwide, and China has become a crucial market for the company. The intricacies of these relationships underscore just how difficult it is to decouple from China, even for those in Trump's orbit. While China's economic prowess may seem hidden to many in the West, the reality is that China possesses a number of strategic advantages in key sectors that can give it a major edge in this trade war. To illustrate this, let's take a closer look at the situation in Europe. Bloomberg recently reported that Western countries have been struggling to develop alternatives to Chinese technology, specifically in the field of electric vehicle (EV) batteries. In Europe, there was a major push to reduce dependence on China's battery supply by building domestic factories. One prominent example is Northvolt AB, a Swedish company that received significant financial backing from German automakers Volkswagen and BMW. Northvolt's early progress was encouraging. By receiving over $55 billion in orders, the company seemed poised to make a big impact. However, things took a dramatic turn. In June 2024, BMW cancelled a $2 billion Euro order due to quality issues. Within 3 months, Northvolt had to lay off 20% of its workforce, and by the end of the year, the company filed for bankruptcy. More generally, 11 of the 16 planned European battery factories have either been delayed or cancelled outright. On the other hand, China's battery producers, like CATL and BYD, have a years-long head start in terms of technology and supply chain efficiencies, allowing them to offer batteries at unbeatable prices. This stark contrast between Europe's struggles and China's success in the EV sector serves as a cautionary tale for those who believe that it is easy to decouple from China and bring manufacturing back to the US or Europe. Looking at the broader picture, it's clear that China's dominance in the global battery market is just one facet of a much larger economic puzzle. Another critical aspect is China's near-total control over rare earth minerals, resources that are vital for the production of high-tech goods, from smartphones to military hardware. This issue has become even more pressing in the wake of the US imposing economic sanctions on more than 140 Chinese microchip companies. For years, the US has sought to limit China's access to the world's most advanced microchips, hoping that doing so would curb China's technological advancements. In response, China has enacted its own round of retaliatory measures, one of the most significant being a restriction on the export of critical rare earth minerals, such as gallium, germanium, and antimony, which are used in the production of military hardware, including aircraft radar and stealth technology. These materials are essential for the production of advanced weapon systems like the F-35 fighter jet. The implications of this move cannot be overstated. The F-35 program, the US military's most expensive weapons project, is heavily reliant on these rare earth minerals, particularly for components like its radar and stealth coatings. If China limits or completely halts the export of these materials, it could cripple the US military's ability to maintain and produce F-35 jets at scale. The problem is compounded by the fact that China controls over 70% of the global supply of rare earth minerals, and the US has few alternatives to turn to. While there are some domestic reserves of these minerals, the infrastructure required to mine and process them on a scale comparable to China simply doesn't exist in the US at present. This advantage, coupled with China's sophisticated supply chain, makes it difficult for any country, including the US, to quickly replace or bypass China's position in the rare earth sector. Now, let's shift focus back to the US, where the political climate under Trump's second administration will be especially challenging. The country is divided and pessimistic about the future. According to a Gallup poll from October 2024, 52% of Americans felt their families were worse off compared to 4 years earlier. Additionally, an NBC national news poll from September found that 65% of Americans believed the country was heading in the wrong direction. Trump's campaign rhetoric has played to these frustrations, often blaming China and immigration for stagnating wages and inefficiencies in government spending. While these messages resonated with many voters and helped Trump secure victories in both the 2016 and 2024 elections, they failed to deliver sustainable solutions for American workers in the long run. The idea that manufacturing jobs can be brought back to the US by simply imposing tariffs on China overlooks a key economic reality: the vast majority of American manufacturing jobs never went to China in the first place. Additionally, policies like deporting illegal immigrants won't address the underlying economic issues that continue to affect the middle class. The truth is that to compete globally, the US must invest heavily in innovation, as China has done over the past few decades. One of the clearest examples of China's innovation comes from the tech sector, specifically in the case of Huawei. Despite aggressive US sanctions aimed at crippling the company, Huawei has shown incredible resilience. In fact, earlier this year, Huawei launched its most advanced smartphone yet, the Huawei Mate 70. Here's the remarkable part: 100% of the phone's components were sourced from domestic suppliers within China. This should serve as a powerful reminder that China is no longer reliant on foreign technology for its own advancements. While many in the West predicted Huawei's collapse due to sanctions, the company has emerged stronger than ever, a testament to China's ability to innovate and adapt despite external pressures. Looking ahead, the US needs to reconsider its approach to China. Rather than attempting to stifle China's progress, it would be far more productive for the US to focus on fostering its own innovation. Elon Musk, for instance, has exemplified this mindset in his dealings with China. Musk's collaborations with Chinese companies have helped propel Tesla to global dominance, and his focus on innovation rather than confrontation has positioned him as one of the wealthiest and most influential entrepreneurs in the world. This model, working with China rather than against it, may be the key to securing long-term success for the US in the global economy. Finally, one of the most crucial areas where the US and China are locked in a fierce competition is artificial intelligence, AI. AI is already transforming industries across the globe, and it will continue to be a defining factor in the economic and military rivalry between these two nations. Former Google CEO Eric Schmidt recently admitted that the US is trailing behind China in AI development, signaling a significant shift in the technological landscape. China's investment in AI, along with its extensive subsidies for overinvestment in this field, has enabled the country to close the gap in ways that many in the West did not anticipate. As AI continues to dominate the future, it is imperative for the US to accelerate its own AI initiatives to remain competitive on the global stage. In conclusion, the US-China rivalry is no longer just about trade wars and tariffs. It is about the future of global technological, economic, and military leadership. While the US has been attempting to limit China's rise, China has been quietly investing in its own future, and now it holds several strategic advantages that cannot be ignored. The key for the US moving forward is not to fight China's growth, but to invest in its own innovation and adapt to the changing dynamics of a rapidly evolving global economy. If the US continues to view China as an adversary to be contained rather than a competitor to innovate alongside, it risks falling further behind in the race for global dominance. The future will be defined by those who can harness the power of AI, rare earth minerals, and technological advancement, and China has already positioned itself as a formidable player in these areas.